Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's learn computer science. Today I'm starting with 21 days of masterclass on Python. This tutorial is for all my students who are eager to learn Python, whether they are of CBSE curriculum or IGCSE curriculum, or they are studying in higher grades. Whosoever is into coding or wants to go into coding using Python, this tutorial is for all of them. So without wasting time, let's start our first session. We will be covering overview of Python features, how to set up Python environment, how to install it, how to create the first Python program, modes of Python, Python character set, tokens, including keywords, identifiers, literals, operators, punctuators, variables and their usage, concept of L value and R value, and how to use comments. So basically everything that you should know before you get into the coding using Python. So let's start our class with basic introduction to Python. What is Python? So basically, when we talk about Python, it is a programming language. It is a high level programming language. So what do you mean by high level language? Means it is a coding language that is close to English like language. It's not close to the hardware, rather it's close to the humans who can read, write, and start their coding, start giving instructions to the computers. So Python is basically a high level interpreted. Now what do you mean by interpreted? Means every line, every instruction is read line by line, and that is how the errors are looked into, and then finally it is converted to the machine code. It is very simple and was created by Guido and Rassam, and first it was released in 1991. And basically here the emphasis is given on the clean syntax and readability, which makes it basically easier to write and understand code. Any beginner, any new programmer who wants to go into coding, if they start with Python, they'll get into the programming languages, they get into the development very easily because they don't have to focus on the syntax and everything, right? History, we have already learned that it is developed by Guido von Rossum at CWI, Netherlands in 1991. And basically, Python can be used to create websites. So its major application area is web development, data science and machine learning, and education. Now, as we have already discussed, the major features of Python are that it is easy to read, expressive syntax, case sensitive. Case sensitive means capital letters are different than small letters. They both are not same. It's interpreted, cross-platform compatibility. That means the program that you create on one platform, one operating system, it can be used on another. Large standard libraries, so many ready-to-use modules are there. Dynamic typing, automated memory management, it's object-oriented programming, and extensive community support. As and when we'll progress further into the language, you will understand why and how these features are there in Python language. Now, before you start creating your programs in Python, you need to have Python software installed on your system. So there are many software that you can use. There are IDEs that you can use. The most common installation that people use is from www.python.org. Other integrated development environments for Python are like PyCharm, VS Code, Jupyter Notebook, etc., etc. So let's have a look how to install it. So when you open www.python.org, you reach here. Here you can get it free of cost. So go to downloads. When you go to downloads, you can see that here you have Python download, valid for Windows, valid for other operating systems, including Linux, Unix, and Mac OS. If you're using Windows, you click here. If you're using Mac operating system, you click here for download, right? So once you click here, download will start for your system. And once it is complete, you can just click on open file and you can start downloading. Just continue, just keep clicking on next, and your Python installation will be ready. Similarly, if you want to open or install using Jupyter or PyCharm, you just go to their website and you can just download them free of cost. However, I am not installing it. I have it already on my system. Now, the current version of Python that is available is 3.11.4. Now, once it is installed, you can just search for Python and you can see that Python is installed, right? So just click on IDLE and you'll be able to use Python. So this type of window will open up where there are three greater than signs are there, which is known as Python command prompt. So this is your interface for Python, ideally, right? So once your Python is installed, you might need to configure the environmental variables. Mostly, after installing the Python, it is automatically done. However, if it is not done, then on Windows PC, you can access the environmental variables settings through the control panel or by searching for environment variables in the start menu. And you'll need to add the Python installation directory to the path variable. On Mac operating system or Linux, you can add it .basrc or .bash_profile file in your home directory and add the Python installation directory to the path variable. Next thing that we need to learn is how to run a simple Python program. So I'll go back to the Python IDLE shell. Here we'll write our first command. So print is a function that is used to display anything on the default output device, which is our monitor. So if I have to write hello world, which is most famous first program in most of the programming languages, so that is what we type. We put print, then we put parentheses, that means brackets, inside it in double quotes, whatever you want to display as it is, you print that, you type it in the double quotes, you press enter, and your output will be displayed. Similarly, Python is also known as the ready to use calculator. So if I write 5 plus 6 or 7, press enter, it will give me result then and there. No need to write print statement as well. Simply you type the statement and it will give you the result. So simple calculator it will work as, right? So that is our first Python program. We will understand this interface into in depth, slowly and steadily. So don't worry. So that is how the first statement is written on the command prompt. Next is execution modes of Python. There are two modes in Python, one which is known as interactive mode and other one is known as script mode, right? Interactive mode is basically where you write the statement. I'm going back to the Python shell. This is called interactive mode. Basically, you type the statement, right? You press enter and Python interpreter is communicating with you then and there, giving you result of your statements. So you write a statement, you write a command and press enter, you get your result then and there. Interactive. After each line, you're getting your result. If there is any syntax error or something, interpreter will tell you then and there. For example, if I write print space 56, press enter, it is giving me a syntax error mentioning missing parenthesis in call to print. Did you mean print brackets 56? Yes, I mean to type that only. So if I write this in single quotes, it will print, or double quotes, it will print it as it is. So no error, no. So this is interactive mode. However, because your result is shown after each line, you're not able to save this program. So what you have to do, if you want your script to be saved somewhere, you want to write whole long program in one go, and then you want to run your script, and maybe you want to reuse that code in some other program. So you'll create script, you'll save it. So for that, we need script mode. So for example, what I have just done, I have clicked on file, I have clicked on new file. When I do that, a new window open up, which I can save later, right? Save as or save and give it a name. Every Python code, every Python program, by default, it has extension .py. Each file of Python is saved with an extension .py, right? So if I'm making it a test program, so I'll save it as test.py, and by default, it will save it as test.py. .py. Name, you can give any, but extension is .py only, right? So because there was already a test program, so I'm replacing it, right? Now, here I can write multiple statements in one go. For example, if I write x is equals to 4, y is equals to 7, and I'm calculating sum is equals to x plus y, I'm sorry, plus y, and I'm printing sum, print, then sum. Now it is, after each line I'm pressing enter, however, it is not showing me the result. It will show the result in the console mode only when I save it and run it. So I click on run module, you can press F5 also, and it will ask you to save the file. Yes, I am saving it, and your result is shown here, right? So x is 4, y is 7, sum is equals to x plus y, which is 4 plus 7, and then I'm printing sum, and final statement, because print is the only statement that will display the result, so 11 is displayed here. So on my interactive mode, on my shell, the result is displayed of script mode as well. So that is what two modes of that is how two modes of Python they work. One, interactive mode, which is this one I have explained. Other one is script mode, which I have just explained here, how to make files, save it, and then execute the code. I hope you understand. Now next is Python character set. Now, whenever you learn a language, your first step is to learn alphabets of that language, right? Similarly, when you learn a programming language, then also you need to learn what is the character set or the alphabets, or the numbers or the letters or whatever characters you can use in that particular language. What are they? You need to learn those so that while writing the language, you do not create any syntax errors by using some characters which are not even allowed in that programming language. So in Python, your character set it consists of letters, all the letters, all the letters A to Z, both capital and small, numbers from 0 to 9, symbols including plus, minus, star, division sign, equals to, percentage, and also special characters like @ $sign, #sign, and sign. So this is the Python character set. You can use all these characters while writing your program in Python. Next is, what do you mean by Python tokens? Now, token is basically the smallest unit of code that holds a specific meaning or represents a particular element. So here in Python, we have many types of tokens like We have keywords, we have identifiers, we have literals, we have operators, we have punctuators. So we'll look into these in depth one by one. First of all, keywords. Keywords are basically the reserved words. Means their meaning is already clear beforehand to the Python. So if I use print with a small p, then its meaning is already clear to the Python library, Python interpreter, that this means you have to print something, you have to display something on the monitor. Okay, so keywords basically are the reserved words and their meaning is already defined to the Python interpreter. They cannot be used as variable names or identifiers. We'll learn what identifiers or variable names are in the next few slides. However, right now you just need to understand if something is a keyword, you cannot use it as a variable name or as an identifier. Some examples of Python keywords are just mentioned here. Have a look. We have if, we have else, we have while, break, none, true, with a capital T, break, class, continue, def, del, elif, and all these. Just have a look. Next comes identifiers. Now, if we talk about ourselves, humans, we all have our identity, right? We call each other by names. We call things by names. We have given each and everything an identity or a name. Similarly, when we talk about programming, when we talk about coding, then we need to give name to things which are used in a program. So what we use in a program, we use some numbers, we use some letters, we use some sentences, right? So few things they are known as variables, few things they are known as functions, classes, modules, and there are many other identities which we use in Python. So each identity that we use in Python, we give them some names. So identifiers are basically name given to those things. However, while giving name to things in Python, whether you're giving name to some value, whether you're giving name to some function or anything else in Python, there are some rules that we need to follow. So an identifier, it can start with a letter, whether that letter is capital or small. As I have mentioned earlier, small letters are different than capital letters in Python. Python is case sensitive. If you're using small a, that is different than capital A, right? All small letters, they are different than capital letters. They are not same. So an identifier, first rule for giving names or giving writing identifiers is that an identifier can start with a letter A to Z or capital A to Z, or also it can start with an underscore, but it cannot start with a number. Remember, valid identifier name is if it is starting with a letter, capital or small, or it starts with an underscore. It can contain letters, numbers, and underscores. Although it cannot start with the number, but it can have numbers at some other position, not at the first place, but other position, it can have numbers. Identifiers are case sensitive. So capital ABC and small abc would be considered different. They're not same. It is recommended to use descriptive and meaningful names for identifiers to enhance code readability. So instead of writing x is equals to this, y is equals to this, use the meaningful names. So if your x is mentioning, it's showing a number, right? Number 1 is equals to this, number 2 is equals to this, instead of writing x and y. And this is not a rule, but this is a recommendation. Because if we talk about IGCSE curriculum, there are marks to meaningful identifier name. So if you'll use XYZ, you will not get full marks. If you will use meaningful names, you will get marks accordingly, right? Next is, what are literals? So literals basically means a fixed value. They represent fixed values, whether they are numeric literals or string literals, but the constants. So variables, they can change. Literals, they are fixed values. Literals represent fixed values that are directly used in the code. Python supports various types of literals. That is, first one, numeric literal. For example, integers like 12, integers means without decimal point. Floating point numbers means with decimal point. For example, 3.14 is floating point number, whereas 12 is an integer. Or complex numbers. Python also gives us option to store complex numbers where some part is imaginary part, so 4.7j is complex number. So these are some examples of numeric literals. We also have string literals. So string literals, they can be uh, kept in single quotes, or they can be kept in double quotes. So anything kept in single quotes or double quotes becomes string literal. So it can be sequence of letters and alphabet, so alphanumeric, right? If it is single number or single letter or single alphabet kept in single quotes or double quotes, this is character. If it is sequence of letters or characters, it is string, right? Now next is operators. Operators are basically symbols or special characters that perform specific operations. Like you want to add two numbers, 5 plus 7, so you will use addition as a symbol. If you're subtracting something, you'll use minus as a symbol. So basically in Python, we have arithmetic operators, we have comparison operators, we have logical operators, and we have assignment operators. Under arithmetic operators, used for all kind of arithmetic or mathematical calculations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and there are many more. We'll cover all these during when we'll start our programs. We'll learn about all these. Then we have comparison operators, where two values are compared and result is always a Boolean value. Boolean value means either you are getting true or you're getting false as a result when you're comparing two values. For example, if I say x is equal to 5 and y is equals to 5, and I want to compare x and y, then I want to see whether x is greater or y is greater. I'll write if x is greater than y, it will give me result either in true or false, right? So comparing two values returns a Boolean result. So we can check equality, we can check non-equality, we can check greater than, equal to, or less than equal to, or greater than, or just less than. Then we have logical operators. Logical operators, they combine two conditional expressions and they also return a Boolean result. We have three logical operators: and, or, and not. We'll learn about these in detail. However, as of now, you just remember there are three logical operators and they are used to combine two values. Now, next is assignment operator. Now, assignment operator, we have equal to, single equal to. So some students, they get confused with double equal to sign and single equal to sign. Please remember, double equal to sign is used for comparison, for checking whether two values are equal or not. And this operator will give you result in Boolean, true or false. If two values will be equal, it will return true. If two values are not equal, it will return false. However, assignment operator, where single equal to sign is used, that is for assigning some value to the variable. So if you write x equals to y, single equals to, if you write x equals to y, that means whatever is in y now is assigned to x. However, if I write x double equal to y, it will compare x and y. If they are same, it will return true. If they are not same, it will return false, right? Then we have punctuators. Now, punctuators, like in our day-to-day languages, we use punctuators. Similarly, we use punctuators in programming languages. These are specific characters which are used for grouping, separation, or termination in Python code. For example, brackets, parentheses, comma, colons. So all these are punctuators. So we'll learn about their usage as and when we create our codes. We'll learn about these. Like if we talk about brackets, they are used in lists and accessing elements. Parentheses, they are always used along with the function name for putting up arguments. Comma is used to separate elements, right? Colons, they are used in it mentioning indentation in Python. In Python, indentation is very, very important, and we'll learn when we start coding, when we'll start writing the codes. So indentation, in indentation, colons are used. Now, next is we have learned about literals. Now comes variables. Variable, as the name implies, something that varies, something that can change. So variables are in Python are used to store and manipulate data, and they can change during the program execution. How do we declare and assign variables in Python? In Python, you don't need to explicitly declare variables like we do in C, C++, Java. Here, as and when you use, then and there it will automatically be declared, right? So if you write x is equals to 5, and then you write name is equals to John, here x is a variable to which 5 is assigned, and it is an integer value. So x becomes integer variable. But later in the program, if you assign x with some other value, its data type will automatically be changed to that value, according to that value. Similarly, if I look at name, name is having John. John is a string variable, a string literal, right? So when I'm assigning a string value to the variable, so that variable is now its data type will be string. It's of string type because string value is assigned to it. So in Python, you don't need to explicitly declare variables that what is going to be their data type. They will take the data type as per the value which is assigned to them, right? So variable naming conventions we have already learned. So variable names can contain letters, both lowercase and uppercase, digits and underscore. The first character cannot be a digit. It can start with a letter or it can start with an underscore. Variable names are case sensitive. So count with capital C and count with small c, they both are considered different, right? Then data types and dynamic typing in Python. Now Python is dynamically typed language, meaning you don't need to explicitly specify the data type of a variable. As I mentioned up there, the type of the variable is inferred based on the value assigned to it. So I have already covered that. For example, age is equals to 25. It's going to be integer because 25 is integer. So age is a integer variable. Price is equals to 19.99. So this value is decimal value. In Python, we call them float. So price is going to be a float value. Name is equals to Alice. So Alice is a string value. So data type for name is going to be string, right? Then comes variable scope. Now variables, they can have a scope that defines their visibility and accessibility. There are two types of scope, local or global. So scope of variable determines where it can be accessed in the code. So global variables, they can be accessed anywhere, and local variables will be available within that particular block where they are declared or defined or used. So Python has local and global scopes which affect how variables are accessed and modified within different parts of the program. So if in a particular function, you are using some variable, so that function will be available within that function only, right? It will not be available outside that function. However, if in the main program you're declaring some variable, and you will be able to use that inside another function, right? So we'll cover this also later in depth. Right now, just remember there are two types of scopes in Python, local and global, right? Now next is concept of L value and R value. L value means left value, R value means right value. So as we have learned already that in Python, using assignment operator, we can assign value to variable. So if I write x is equals to y, here x is L value, 5 is R value. So R value is assigned to L value, right? So if I show you this, x is L value and 5 is R value. So right hand side value is assigned to left hand side value. Okay. Also, left hand side value can only be a variable, whereas right hand side value, it can be an expression also, right? So L value, left value, refers to an expression that can appear on the left hand side of the assignment statement. L value represents a variable or a memory location that can be assigned a value. However, right value, it refers to an expression that can appear on the right hand side of an assignment statement. And R value represents the value that is assigned to L value or used in an expression. So as you can see, left side we can have variables, on right side we can have constant value, we can have some expression using constants or variables. Okay. Next is how we use comments in Python. So in Python, we can have single line comments, which we write using hash symbol. So comments basically are those statements which are totally ignored by the interpreter. Interpreter will not read them. Interpreter will not execute them. They'll just simply ignore them. So basically comments are for the developers for their documentation purpose, right? So we can write single line comments. We can write multiple line comments. For single line comment, you use hash symbol, then you write comment, right? As I have shown in this example. So this is a multi-line comment using triple quote. So triple quotes can be written using single quote or double quotes. Okay. However, when you write single line comment, you can just simply put a hash sign, then you write the comment, and then you interpreter, when you execute the code, interpreter will ignore that line and will move to the next line where there is some actual command or statement of Python is written. Okay, so that's all about today's session. Now there is a small assessment for you all. You all, please, whatever we have learned today, based on that, I have put some 8 questions here on screen. These all are MCQ type questions. Solve it, pause the video, solve them. I also have mentioned answers. So once you solve these, then you can just look at the answers and you can compare whether your answers are correct or not. Okay. So start solving. I hope you have solved. So these are the answers. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.